Hey, what is up, guys? It is Metagames GX here, and we're going to be doing another DB gameplay replay. This time it is post-ban list with branded Dracotail. So if you guys want to see more gameplay like this, leave a comment down below, leave a like also. If this video gets to 50 likes, we'll do a follow-up gameplay. So I'm going to be going against Pure Mitsurugi. This is pure post-ban list, and Pure Mitsurugi is looking to be at one of the top 3 decks by far. I think it was barely hit on the Pure side. A lot of people thought Prayers was going to go to 1. No, Prayers did not go to 1. So our opponent here opened up the Prayers, of course, because that's what you do when Mitsurugi Prayers is at 3. Then Pav Extrav, Imperm, Dominus Impulse, and Murakamo. So his hand is very strong, going first and going second. My hand is Lucius, Lubellion, Quem, Shrouded Dragon, and Ketu Dracotail. I'm going to be taking the draw, so let's see how well this goes. So now I decided to choose to go Bestial Lubellion off the bat because this also allows me to bait potentially Ash Blossom, which he does not have. So I end up going for the Saronir, and then the Shrouded Dragon is going to, and then I'm going to trigger Shrouded Dragon. Shrouded Dragon is going to send the Retribution to the graveyard, and then give me a draw. I get the Aluber on the draw. I'm passing the Droll check. I'm just, this is the best way with branded Dracotail to bait hand traps, right? Because they first, they could Ash the Lubellion, but then they could Ash the Ketu here. So I search out the Phimina so I could dodge Imperm on the Aluber. So I go normal summon Aluber, and he does actually have the Imperm, so I correctly play around the Imperm, though. So I do chain the Dracotail Phimina, because Dracotail Phimina is going to allow me to dodge Imperm on Aluber, because I am running the Trishula today. You guys can't see it at the moment, because he then Dominus Impulses the Phimina, but we are running the Trishula, so if I had Trishula, if this resolved, the Phimina would just make Trishula off the Aluber, plus Lucius and Saronir, and then I get full Dracotail combo, plus having Branded Fusion, so I'd be in a way better position. I probably win the game exactly from there, but he does have the Dominus Impulse Imperm, and that probably tells me he is on Mitsurugi. It's either Malice or Mitsurugi, but I don't think Malice is too viable, although it's still pretty strong. So he draws Valor for turn, which is not that great, and then he goes Prayers. And I really only have a Bestial here, so this is just a Bestial versus Prayers in the start phase. He does use Prayers here to begin with, though, and this means I could save the Bestial to then banish his Murakamo when he ends up banishing it, right? Because this is pure Mitsu, but he does go Extrav to draw 2 more, and he draws the Called By, which is exactly all he needs, really. And then he goes into the Night Sword Serpent off the Mitsu Ritual to summon out the Habakiri. He goes out to the Mitsu Ritual to then summon out the Futsu from deck by tributing the Habakiri effect. This is where I could have Saronir'd, but it wouldn't have mattered, to be honest. Like, I definitely should have Saronir'd there. That was definitely my misplay, because I might have been able to survive and then top deck, but I don't. He had Called By anyway, so I don't think I was getting through that because of that. And so my game 2, I'm hoping, goes a little bit better for me. I have Called By, Quem, Ketu, Cartesia, and then High Spirits, and he opens up Imperm, Retaliating Sea, Kusanagi, Aramasa, and then Ritual. Yeah, no, Mitsurugi is still very strong with just the custom hands it can draw, plus on top of running so much non-engine, so I debate here in going High Spirits and draw phase, but I ultimately just choose to go Ketu in the main phase because I do have the Called By to play around the draw and Lockbird. Now, I do go into the Ketu Dracotail here, and then Ketu is going to activate Searching Me Phimina, because I don't want a normal Lucius on this hand. I could, but, like, I'd just prefer to get to Branded Fusion and then use Phimina to dodge Imperm. And then he doesn't have the Imperm. I go Shrouded Dragon off the Quem, so I can special summon out the Cartesia, since this counts as a Fallen of Albaz in the graveyard, and Cartesia can special summon itself when that is the case. And then I end up going Cartesia effect, fusing off the Quem plus itself into the Grand Guignol. Didn't really have too much of another line here, and if he had Impermed here, I would have been a little bit cooked, but that's alright. He would have Impermed on the Cartesia, probably, and then I send the Saronir so I can connect to the Branded Fusion by sending the Retribution, and then I can go Shrouded Dragon, sending the Branded Fusion, so then I can recur itself to my hand. And then I am just going to go Branded Fusion here. He does not have the Impulse, but he does have the Retaliating Sea. And that is going to be basically a shifter on my turn, so I just end up doing some classic shifter lines. For a deck, I send Fallen of Albaz to the Banishment on top of Tri-Brigade Mercurier, which is your best send when you've already normal summoned under, like, basically D-Shifter. So then I can go Chainlink 1 Lubellion, discarding for cost, Chainlink 2 Mercurier. and then Chain Link 3 Grand Guignol to trigger, since his Retaliating Seed did special summon itself through a monster effect. So I can get out the free Quem, I search out the kit, and then I go spin back Albaz plus Saronir into the Borreload, and then here I'm able to go Quem effect, target Cartesia, since a card left the extract while Quem was on the board, and then I can get the Cartesia for follow-up on my turn. Now, this board would be infinitely better under Pure Branded, because if I have Stapelia on top of this, or a Light and Darkness Dragon Lord, like, this is perfect, right? But I don't. So maybe for the future, I want to run a Lad or a Stapelia. But here I'm just going to go Spriggan's Kit effect to get me the Branded in red, and then spitting back the Phymena, and then I can go, because I do have a Quem in graveyard, so this allows me to make Borreload. It doesn't really matter. I don't think I had to do that, actually. I could have just kept the Phymena. But then I target the Retaliating C plus the kit. He does not trigger C for Contact C. And then sets Branded red and called by. Why don't people run Contact C with this card? I would run Contact C if I had Retaliating C. It's just a free +1, and it makes this so much more hard to get rid of when it floats. So yeah, I set the called by and Branded red. I'm feeling pretty good, honestly, even though he's on 5 cards. He draws called by for turn, which is pretty good, and then he goes Imperm onto the Furious, and that's fine. And then he goes Aramasa, and I let that through. He gets the Habakiri, and then he goes Mitsu Ritual from hand, which I guess he isn't very happy about by this sad face, but so I let that through. He doesn't summon out the Murakamo, so I'm happy about that. I'm surprised he didn't just summon from deck, right? Because you could just summon the Murakamo from deck and tribute the Habakiri. I'm really surprised we just didn't do that, because then you pop my board and make... My board's just infinitely weaker into a Habakiri here. Into a Murakamo, rather. So I do chain the called by here on the Saji, even though he has the Kusanagi. So that's going to be unfortunate. And then I go chain Cartesia on summon, so I can then go into Grand Guignol, and Grand Guignol gets me follow-up in the form of Titaniclad, and then here I can go to Branded red, getting the Quem, but he does have the called by. So yeah, if I kept the Phymena, I'd be in so much better of a position, because then I could go Phymena, fuse off. So yeah, I think I should have just kept the Phymena over called by, but actually no, he would have just called by the Phymena, so never mind. So then he banishes the Quem, and then attacks over the Borreload for 200, and here he just goes into Baguska, and then at end phase I go Cartesia, and I go Titaniclad to add the Fallen of Albaz, which gets me actually a line through Baguska, because then I can normal Cartesia, and then fuse into Mirrorjade the second he puts his Baguska to attack position, so that's going to be the plan here. I just normal Cartesia pass. He then has to detach off of the mandatory Baguska effect, and then he goes main phase. And first action upon going main phase, attack position Baguska, I will then chain Cartesia, chain link 1 to then fuse off the Grand Guignol plus Albaz. I probably should have fused off the Lubellion to play around. I mean, here he used called by, so I think sending the Grand Guignol to the graveyard is just fine. Sometimes you'll want to send Grand Guignol to the graveyard if called by is not in rotation by your opponent. This is very low key for playing Branded, but if you send your Grand Guignol to the graveyard because you're like, oh, I'll dodge Imperm, but they have called by, you just opened up your Grand Guignol to lose automatically. So if called by is in rotation, it's kind of fine to fuse off Grand Guignol in that kind of situation, but elsewise I would try not to, unless, like, I think Lubellion being fused off would have been a better play if he hadn't used called by. But then I go Mirrorjade, and then I can go Mirrorjade effect, banish the Habakiri, so that he can he won't have a body if he has Mitsu Ritual. But he does have the Kusanagi, of course, which I did not know about, so he gets to recur back the Habakiri, and then Habakiri effect to then summon out the Aramasa by tributing the Baguska, and then searching out the Murakamo. He then overlays for the Gallant Granite, and then Gallant Granite effect. He just ends up scooping on Gallant Granite. I mean, I'm not sure what he was trying to get me to do there, to be honest. But yeah, I just won that through the grind game, which shows I love the Branded Mitsurugi matchup. Honestly, it's such a fun matchup. It's completely skill based and completely just grindy. And you have a lot of clear choke points on them. They have a lot of clear choke points on you, right? Because Murakamo plus the hand rip is quite strong. And if you run the Omni Negate, I think and play that kind of loop right, you can do very well as a Mitsurugi player into Branded, but I also think Branded has the tools too, between Super Poly, between Bestials, and then just Branded Fusion being as broken as it is. So I do open up the Aluber, Fusion Poly, speaking of Super Poly, and then Aluber and Triple Tactics Talents. He opens up Dominus Impulse, Night Sword Serpent, Solemn Warning, Dominus Impulse. So he certainly has a hand of all time. He does Brick, but then he sets double Solemn Warning. I draw Phimina, so let's see if we can play the game here. I go Fusion Deployment. He's going to let that through. I summon out Cartesia. This should be an attack position just in case. But then he Solemn Warnings my Aluber on normal summon. And that gets rid of that. And that really choke points my plays here because my hand was fantastic if I didn't just get Solemn there. I see why Solemn Judgment went to 1. That card's broken. So then I just go Cartesia effect. He goes Dominus Impulse here. And then I just chain the Phimina so it doesn't get destroyed. But then he has Solemn Judgment because that is an effect that includes a special summon monster. So, yeah, I just have to kind of let my Cartesia die here and then set Super Poly. He sets Night Sword Serpent. And I top deck Malulu, hoping my Malulu gets, or then I go Aluber effect, and I go High Spirits. This is to play around Dominus Impulse or Ash Blossom here, because then I can go High Spirits, send the Malulu, get Kit, send the Titan Clad. Because I don't have Albaz. If I had Albaz, I'd send the Albion there, but I don't. So then I go Kit, go for the Branded Fusion, and then I go Branded Fusion, but he does have the Impulse, and then I just have to attack over the Night Sword Serpent, hope he doesn't have any follow-up. I'm also thinking I probably, I could have also chosen to just search Branded Fusion off the Aluber instead of playing through hand traps. He did have the Impulse. However, the issue is like, well, now I still have a discard for the Super Poly, so I definitely think that I played that correctly. And then I can go Titan Clad in order to summon out Albaz since I do have the Super Poly. But he did draw the Habakiri for turn, which is pretty interesting. And then he goes into Saji effect, gets the prayers. And this is the awkward part for me because, like, I don't have another discard. So if I had another discard, I'd be able to actually do something here. But as of right now, he's only summoning Dark Monsters. So the only thing I can really summon is a Lubellion with no discards. But he is on 1500, so he's getting pretty low. He searches out the Ritual, goes normal Aramasa, searches out the Murakamo, goes Mitsu Ritual, or no, he overlays for Exiton. This is what fucked me, actually. I think I was fine until he made Exiton. This was very well done of him, and this is why I still want to upload the replay even though I'm losing, is because Exiton completely blew up my board here. This was like the best play here, right? Because this gets rid of the Solemn or the Super Poly, right? I thought he was gonna like maybe link off for Fiendsmith, but obviously he would have just blown up the board anyway, then gone for OTK. But like, no, this is smart to play around the back row in my opinion. So then I go Super Poly here. I'm forced to Super Poly here, and then what I do is I discard the Cartesia, fuse off the Kit, Fallen of Albaz, and then I make Rinbrum, and then my Rinbrum is now destroyed. Right, so this allows me to have a graveyard of Rinbrum, Cartesia, and High Spirits, and Albaz. So in the end phase, I can go Cartesia effect, and check the Murakamo, and then go High Spirits effect, add to hand, and then go Rinbrum. So I have a way to play around the Murakamo negate, and then also still get a Mirror Jade. So I'm setting myself up. That was like the best play I could have done that situation, was making that Rinbrum off of the Super Poly, which I thought was pretty creative. Because Rinbrum, once again, just allows you to play on 0 cards as long as you have the right cards in rotation. He then goes Kusanagi effect, get back the Ritual, summoning out the Murakamo, goes out to Futsu, Murakamo effect. Man, if I had Bestial here, Bestial would be in crazy here. Bestial would have went crazy here. And then he goes Mitsurugi Ritual, and then summons out the Habakiri, and then goes Futsu effect to summon back for prayers. For the prayers follow-up, and then links off for the dark, summons the Albaz, which was really smart. He just had the best extra deck he could have possibly had. I don't think they always play dark, and I don't think they always play Exiton, so the fact he was able to go Gloomy, just target the Albaz, was just really crazy. And I should have chained Rinbrum at that point, I think, to get rid of the Gloomy, and then he would have had less bodies, though. I just realized that would have been a better play, because once he goes Gloomy, I can go Rinbrum, summon or fuse off the Gloomy, and then he wouldn't have the Gloomy to link off for the SP Little Knight. I did just notice that, but he does have the prayers, so it's like prayers plus Nib here is just everything he needs, but he does get an SP on top of that because of my misplay. And then I go High Spirits, I just draw a Called By, and then I just have to set it, and then he does have the prayers for follow-up, and that's just gonna be game. So yeah, that was actually a really good game. I wanted to upload it even though I lost. I felt like, for once I have to show you guys also me losing, right? So if you guys want to see more gameplays, let me know, because the gameplays last format were kind of falling off in views. So I only want to upload them if you guys want to see them. I do have fun making these gameplays, but please let me know down below, because we can, use our time doing other things. If you guys want to see more long form discussions or just me talking about the cards rather than me playing the cards, let me know, of course. But of course, we wanted to show you guys some of the new format. I think it's always useful to see what Mitsurugi is up to post Banlist and what Dracotail brand is up to post Banlist, right? 2-branded fusion was really nice, but that game was very close, and I think it could have been, we were on top deck towards the end, so it was a really well done game. GG's to Cabbage Patch. He friended me afterwards. That's why I love DB. You always get to meet a nice person, usually nice people, except for the few degens on there. And then, yeah, no, so it is nice to me, a nice player who was also very nice on his deck, so he played perfectly. All right, guys, with that being said, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, check out my website if you want to help support the channel, pick up my branded /Dracotail spreadsheet, guys, if you want to help support the channel, get 100+ combos of those decks updated every month. Also, check out these nice t-shirts and merch to help support the channel. Also, you can get my playmat. And like I said, become a channel member today to get on my members-only classroom. Here's the deck list. I'll just show off the deck list while we were at it. Get on the members only classroom, and of course you will be able to get all my exclusive videos and all that fun stuff, and get a little extra coaching. So yeah, guys, have a great day. Bye now.